Greetings. This is your brother, Master Ra Imhotep, broadcasting on behalf of 13 Signs, Astrology.com. That's 13, the number, signs plural, and that's Astrology.com. The reason for this video is because I want to put out a little bit of information on relationships. Yes, relationships. We all have them. We all are in them at some point in our lives, and we all experience them because we are humans. And one of the things that humans do is we relate to one another. Um, Now, in this video, I'm going to go into relationships as it pertains to astrology, because in these series of videos, I'm dealing with the subject of astrology. And by the way, I will be dealing with other topics in the near future. But we have to finish this segment of series right here. I'm going to go ahead and get right into it. Why do I feel like I'm qualified to give a relationship compatibility reading when it pertains to astrology? Well, me, myself personally, I've been in different relationships and I've had my share of failed relationships. I mean, I'm not sitting up here acting like my relationship life has been perfect, because it hasn't. But that's the reason why I feel like I am more than qualified to bring this information, because I've been in so many failed relationships that I can give out accurate relationship information as it pertains to astrology. Now, one might ask, how can you give out relationship consultation when you've been in several failed relationships? And I would say to that, I learned from my experiences in dealing with the occult and the hidden arts and sciences that one is to either teach from their strengths or they can teach from their weaknesses. And what I'm here to say is that I'm teaching this subject based on all of my many failures, and all of my many failures have taught me lessons, because you have to learn how to basically benefit off of your demons, and you have to learn how to benefit off of your angels. And when I say your demons, I'm speaking of your weaknesses and those things that hold you down and hold you back. And over the years, for me just meditating, for me just working with crystals and getting into myself and just getting into the occult, I was able to learn a lot about myself. And a lot of it came from astrology. And I'm here to tell you that if you want to master this relationship thing, it's really all about you. I've said this in other videos and I'm going to say it again. You cannot base any aspect of your life off of what someone else is doing. Everything that happens to you in your life is based off of what you and the energy that you put out, and not only that, but the energy that you incarnated here on this planet with. And it's no different with relationships, beloved. Many men and women out there have expectations in regards to relationships based on things that their parents taught them, based on things that society has taught us, based on things we see on TV, based on things that we see entertainers doing. And all of this is exterior factors. And I'm here to tell you that when you deal with the subject of relationships, it's all about what's going on inside of you. It's all about what's going on inside of your zodiac chart. And that's why it's important for you to get a reading and have your zodiac chart available when you deal with different aspects of your life. Because if you don't have that information, as I've said in other videos, you're just totally lost and you're just out here, just lost in the sauce. So, I mean, basically, like in this relationship thing, you can't really put anybody on a pedestal. And not only that, but you can't, what word am I looking for? You can't expect someone to do something that's not in their nature to do. So, in this astrological chart, you can look into the area of relationships. And I'm going to say this. Some people aren't in this lifetime, and I know this might sound funny, I'm talking about marriage here now. I'm not talking about just like on a relationship level, like when it comes to relating to people in general. But some people are not meant to get into a marriage relationship. I'll say that again. Some people are not meant to get into a marriage relationship. We are living in a different time. We're living in a new age and in a new phase. And I'm not saying marriage is going out, but what I am saying is that the way that society is moving, we're all becoming sovereign. So many of us don't want to be tied down into these different emotional, not really emotional, but in these control type of situations, because a lot of our relationships are based on control, and they're not based on really allowing a person to grow and cultivating a person and your mate that you're with and allowing them to live to their fullest potential. So when you look at a person's chart, and I can do this as an astrologer, I can look into your chart and I can basically tell you as to whether or not a marriage might benefit you in this lifetime. Now, I'm not saying that you won't still try to get married, and I'm not telling you not to get married. What I'm saying is that it might benefit you a lot more in this lifetime if you spent this incarnation outside of a relationship as far as marriage is concerned, because when you marry someone, you're sharing your life with that person. And some of us aren't here to share our lives with people. So that's the number one thing. The second thing is that a lot of us are caught up into certain Western principles when it comes to relationships. Now, many other religions are going to deal with this point that I'm getting ready to hit on right now. But many other religions already embrace a man or a woman dealing with multiple partners. And I'm here to say, and I know a lot of people aren't going to like this, but I'm going to speak the truth because I deal with the truth and nothing but the truth. And I promise myself anything that I put out is going to be the truth from my heart and what I've seen and what I've experienced for myself. And some people are not meant to be with one person, beloved. And if you're the type of person that's meant to be with one person, and if you're with someone that's not meant to be with one person, it's going to always be friction. It's going to always be friction. I mean, I've done hundreds of relationship consultations, and I'm just here to tell people that some of us are not meant to be with one person. And this goes for men and women. And you're going to always find yourself being hurt. You know what I'm saying? Because you're thinking that this person is supposed to be monogamous like you, and you might base it on the Bible, you might base it on the Quran, you might base it on any type of holy book, the Torah or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like you might base it on any type of holy book, but at the end of the day, like I always teach, it's about what's in a person's astrological chart. Your astrological chart acts as your Bible, and this is really the basis of how a person is to live their life, based on their astrological chart. So, like I'm saying, I mean, some of us aren't meant to be with one person, and you know, like if you're not in a society or involved in a group of people that have been educated and groomed into dealing with polygamy and the institution of polygamy and dealing with polygyny and polyandry in the right ways and in the proper ways, then I mean, really, you shouldn't even like try to do that either. I mean, you might just have to roll solo and dolo and deal with various different romantic relationships in this lifetime because I don't embrace polygamy, the institution of that either, unless it's taught a certain way and unless it's instituted a certain way. Because polygamy, contrary to contrary to popular belief, actually is an economic strategy. It's not about a man or a woman sleeping around with multiple people. Polygamy serves as an economic strategy and a way that society functions and runs to build and cultivate and grow. So that's what the institution of polygamy is about. But again, I can look into your astrological chart and basically tell you if you're a type of person that might want to embrace a lifestyle like that, or if you're a type of person that's really just supposed to roll sovereign and dolo in this lifetime, or you might be a person that's a serial monogamous, and that's what they call it. Some people are serial monogamous. And two, another thing I want to point out is that we go through cycles and phases, and I can look at that in your chart as well. Like you might be a serial monogamous today, but then 5 or 10 years from now, your chart might progress, and you might turn into basically one that's now ready to embrace the whole institution of polygamy. So it just depends on a whole lot of factors. But at the end of the day, what I'm trying to say is, and what I'm stressing to say, not trying, but what I am saying is that basically you can't really put standards on anyone. You can't put limitations on anyone. I mean, there is no limit, beloved, to your self-expression, who you are as a person. So when we deal with the science of relationships, when it comes to astrology, we really get down to the individual person, and it's based on an individual basis. And that's basically the message that I'm bringing today. Now, the second half of what I'm going to talk about is how we go about defining. I'm going to just give brief tidbits of information on what planets we use to define a person's relationship life, and not only that, but how we can tell if two people are compatible with each other. And the planets that we look at when it comes to comparing two people, when it comes to a synastry chart, that's what we call it. It's called a synastry chart. And what astrologers look at in those charts are we look at the sun, we look at the lunar placement or the moon in someone's chart. We look at Mercury, we look at Venus, and we look at Mars. And those are the planets that we look at. And I'm going to tell you what each one means when it comes to a relationship. Now, the sun, like when we compare suns in a relationship reading, this is one of the most important comparisons that you can do when it comes to relationship compatibility reading, because the sun, um, that deals with the person's heart and like what's in their heart and their soul desires and what they just, their passion, like what you just feel like, this is my passion. Like that's your heart. Like that's just like something you can't beat. It's more than your emotions. It's your passion. It's why you wake up every day. So if two people's suns are compatible when it comes to a relationship reading, I mean that relationship really is out. I mean I don't suggest you getting into a relationship with anyone that you're not compatible with, because they don't do nothing but basically just fail, and it just leads to people wasting their time and lives doing something and being with someone that they weren't meant to be with anyway. Now some of us have to go through those type of situations to get to a point where we learn about ourselves. And I was one of those people. I mean, I've been in several relationships, and I had to learn about myself. And I blame myself really for all of my relationships and the reason why they didn't succeed, because really it's all about having certain knowledge. And even when I did have the knowledge, sometimes I would go off of the emotions and going off of the way I want to feel at this time, knowing that I'm not compatible with this person, but yet and still I put myself in a situation where I tried to make it work. And it just doesn't work. I mean, and it's something in astrology called a square. And if your sun squares that person's sun, a square is a 90-degree angle, which is a challenge in a chart. If your sun squares that person's sun, then you're going to always constantly be in a state of friction with that person that you're with, as far as in that relationship. So the sun is important. Now the moon is important in a relationship too, especially in a woman's chart, but in a man's chart as well, because the moon deals with, actually really on a day-to-day basis, most of us act out our moon sign more so than our sun sign. Like many of you know about the sun sign, but you also have a moon sign. Like you might be an Aries sun, but you might be a Pisces moon. So you have to learn about your moon sign, because your moon sign is actually who you are on like a day to day basis. This is like your habitual nature. Like I mean, this is your emotional nature and basically the way you are on a day to day basis. This is not your soul urge like your sun. Your sun is your soul urge, but your moon is like your emotional state, who you are around your family. Like basically when you get comfortable around a person, you begin to act out your moon sign. So your moon sign is very important in a relationship compatibility reading. Now, another planet that we look at in the relationship situation is Mercury. Now, Mercury, according to astrology, is the messenger. I mean, this is your thought process. Like when we deal with Mercury, this is your thoughts and how you think. And not only that, but how you express through communication, how you express how you feel. Like this is all based on Mercury. So when we do a synastry reading, we look at the two people's Mercuries and we see if their thoughts are compatible. Like, do you think like this person? Because if you don't think like a person, that can cause friction too. Because it's like they might be, their thoughts are on one thing and your thoughts are on a whole other wavelength. And I mean, I'm sure you guys have experienced this, but you just didn't know it was astrology playing itself out. And that's why we need to get into these hidden sciences that have been suppressed by men. Because like I said, according to the Most High, it's nothing wrong with getting into astrology, because the Most High created all of these planets that we see. So there's nothing wrong with this, what I'm talking about here. This is a science that really was taught in the past, but has been lost now, because according to modern man, we do things based off of economics and all these other lower chakra things, when we need to be dealing on the higher vibration. The higher vibration is dealing with the cosmos and everything that's going on in the stars. So that's what we need to be dealing with when it comes to basically basing our life off of certain principles. It needs to be based off of the higher self and the cosmos. Now, the third planet that we look at, I'm sorry, the fourth planet that we look at is the Mars. And Mars is more so important in a man's chart, but it's also important in a woman's chart. And I'm going to tell you what it means in a man's chart. Mars in a man's chart is basically telling you the type of man that person is. So when you look at a man's Mars placement, this is telling you what type of man he is, period. I mean, if he has, say for instance, if he has a Mars in Gemini, then this man is definitely a man that likes to flirt. He likes to talk to more than one woman. This is the type of person he just is. He can't help it. It's in his nature. He's very communicative and attractive, and women like it. So I'm not knocking like the way a person is. I mean, if a man has Mars in his chart, that's just the type of man he is. And the women out there, you need to like be more cognizant and conscious of these things. I mean, like you can't really try to make this man be what you want him to be, because it might not just be in his astrological chart. Now, in a woman's chart, Mars represents the type of man she wants. And I'm going to say to these men, I mean, like if a woman has her Mars in like a Leo sign, then that means she wants a strong, dominant man. Like she wants a strong, dominant man. And if you're the type of man that's passive, and, kind of like laid back and shy, and you just wonder why she always looking at other men and making eyes at other men, maybe it's because that woman on the inside is suppressing an aspect of herself because based on her chart, she wants to be with a man that's dominant. You know what I'm saying? She wants to be with a man that gets all the attention, and that's just the type of man that she's looking for, and that's what we look at in an astrological chart when it comes to that. Now we look at Venus. This is the last planet that we look at when it comes to a synastry reading. We look at Venus. If Venus represents in a woman's chart, it represents the type of woman she is. If a woman has Venus in Libra, that's the perfect wife, beloved. Like if you're the type of guy that want to be in a monogamous relationship, and you find you a woman that's got Venus in Libra, she's a keeper. I mean, you better keep her as long as you know what I'm saying. Like y'all sons basically match up and everything, and you want to be monogamous and settle down with that woman. You need to find a woman that has Venus and Libra, and there's a couple other signs too, but I'm not going to go into them here. But that's just an example I'm using. So this is the type of woman that she is based on her Venus and her placement. So this is the type of woman she would be in a relationship. And Venus means other things too, but we're dealing with strictly relationships in this video. So I'm focusing on relationships because each planet has multiple meanings as well. And their placements in the houses mean things too. Now, Venus in a male's chart deals with the type of woman that he likes. If a woman has Venus in Leo, that man like a woman that's bad, that know how to dress. You know what I'm saying? She got on her Louis Vuitton. She got on her Chanel. She basically just know how to dress to a T. She got on her straight up Italian fashion. And she know how to. She basically got swag. I mean, basically that's what they call it. I mean, this female has swag if she got Venus in Leo, and basically I'm sorry if a man has Venus in Leo, he's looking for a female that has that type of swag. And also too, like if a woman has Venus in Leo, that means she's gonna definitely have style. She's gonna know how to carry herself. She's gonna be very social. Everybody likes her. She's just center of attention all the time. No matter you can't like basically make it out no other kind of way because it's all based on the zodiac and it's based on the constellations. And that's basically the message that I'm bringing here in this video is that we just gotta really get back y'all to the original doctrine that what I believe and my beliefs and faith that the Most High really set up for us, and it's all done through the astrological doctrine. We also look at different houses when it comes to relationships too. We preferably look at the 5th house and the 7th house, and it just depends on the relationship as to which house that I would use to do a reading. So I'm going to go ahead and close out this video. If you're interested in getting a relationship compatibility reading, you can email me at 13signsastrology@gmail.com. That's 13 signs plural astrology@gmail.com. You can also get at me on Twitter at Master Ra Imhotep. You can get at me on Twitter at Master Ra Imhotep and send me a tweet, and I'll be glad to do a reading for you. And also, you can go visit my site and order a reading straight up, and that's 13signsastrology.com. Again, that's 13signsastrology.com. I thank you for watching and listening, and I pray and hope that I was helpful. And until I see you guys again, peace and love.